So now we're on to fan favorites, shout outs and rants. Karen Woody, do you have a shout out and or rant for us?
Well, I was going to have a rant against Spotify, but Matt has covered the waterfront on that. I'm so happy that he did. So I'm going to give a shout out to whoever it was who lined up the Super Bowl halftime show. And that is a shout out on behalf of everyone who is my age and within, shooting distance of a decade up. I just think it's finally that the marketers have realized that all of us in our 40s are a huge demographic. So that's why they put on Eminem, Snoop Dogg, Mary J. Blige. It is like my high school best hits are coming back for this Super Bowl. No shade against the weekend because last year's show was great, but I appreciate that we're going like a full throwback to the 90s for this Super Bowl's halftime show. I cannot wait.
Jay Rosen.
So this shout out goes to my favorite celebrity chef who is always there when there's a natural disaster. Jose Andreas tweeted, and I'll read, "Dear at Rep MTG," who's Marjorie Taylor Green, "the Gazpacho Police was created by me in 1993 to make sure that no one would add Tabasco or jalapeno or strange things to my beloved soup. Please don't blame anybody else but me, but stop by for a glass anytime. But don't forget your mask and vaccination card." Mic drop.
Jonathan Marks.
So big shout out to and I hope your head's getting well. That there's no shame in going through that process, but the fact and the way you handled yourself, I think you need a new agent. I'll give you my phone number if you want to get a hold of me. You can look me up on my website at Baker Tilly, but you need better representation in the future, my friend, because you burned a lot of bridges.
Matt Kelly.
I'm going to give a shout out to that apparently secret law enforcement agency we have never heard of in this country before now, the National Archives, for leading what was reported as a raid against Mar-a-Lago to seize 15 boxes of documents that former President Trump apparently improperly took from the White House. I have heard of many different agencies conducting raids and executing search warrants and things like that. I did not have the National Archives on my bingo card of agencies that might wind up showing up at your house to take documents and cart them out. And a bonus small shout out to New York Times reporter Maggie Haberman, who has another Trump administration book coming out, including the allegation that they had to get plumbers to come to the White House to fish out documents that apparently President Trump improperly flushed down the White House toilet. I am probably not the first person to have said for many years that Donald Trump was trying to flush the Constitution down the toilet. I only meant that as a figurative thing. Maybe it was a literal thing. I am not clear on that. I would also love to know who is the plumber that had to show up and do that. And by the way, just out of curiosity, what do they charge? Because they're outrageous around here in Boston. But that is my shout out to at least some agency out there that is really grabbing the bull by the horns and trying to enforce accountability. So shout out to the National Archives. Who knew?
Toilet paper shortage in the early part of the pandemic. It was a real thing. I'm going to have a melancholy shout out today, and that is to the University of Michigan School of Law and the greater law educational profession, who lost two giants this week, both of whom were professors at U of M when I was there. The first is Yale Camazar. Yale Camazar was truly a force of nature. He literally invented criminal procedural rights prior to going to trial. He was a key component of the Supreme Court's decision in Gideon versus Wainwright, but he's even more well known as really the father of the Miranda rights. So Yale Camazar, truly great in criminal procedure, but also Terence Sandilow. He was the dean of the University of Michigan School of Law when I was there, and he was a very different professor than Yale Camazar. He was very cerebral. He was a constitutional specialist. I took him for 14th Amendment. And I know this will resonate with the true geeks out there. If you can tie the slaughterhouse cases from the 1870s to the constitutional revolution of the 1930s up until the time I took constitutional law in 1980s, you're a brilliant professor. So we lost two greats, Terry Sandalow and Yale Camazar. I'm sure you're up there debating in that great moot court in the sky. Ladies and gentlemen, in spite of our technical difficulties, another great episode, and I look forward to seeing you all next time. Thanks so much.